Miscellaneous edit mesh items. Okay, the edit mesh commands. Some are useful, some are not. I want to cover a few of these. These are ones I don't use too often. In fact, there's a couple in here I don't use at all, but I still want to cover them. Here's one that might be interesting. If you take edges and faces together, what will happen is with wedge face, it'll take it and make this nice little arc. Now, this might be useful, but it yields a lot of triangles. And sometimes it fails to calculate across two polygon faces like this. It'll work great for just one. If you highlight one face and highlight one edge, it'll calculate quite well. But other than that, you will have to repair it more times than not. Alright, so next, how about this little goodie? If you take a face and you say poke face, it yields a triangle point. Okay, another pretty cool feature, but again, nothing I use in my workflow. The next one's not too bad. Let's concentrate on one that's pretty useful actually. This one is called chamfer vertex. Okay. Now it yields all quads, but it takes and turns anything else into an n-gon. But as long as if you use the split polygon tool with conjunction with this, like that, you really can yield some pretty good results. Just like that. And that would be a hard thing to do if I was to do it with all of the split polygon tool instead of the chamfer vertex. Alright, now the next one I do use quite often. Let's say if I take this square for instance, and if I grab all the face, now the edges, let's grab all the edges and go in here and go bevel. Now the reason I use this is because if I bevel it just normally, it looks like a diamond, but if I take this and go into the bevel options, I can say number of segments. So maybe I'll put 3 segments and a lot less width. Okay. And now I have this. You have to be very careful with this. It will yield triangles, just like all the other tools, just about. So you gotta be real careful. This is good for a mesh that you're not too worried about. You know, maybe it's just a background item or something that you need to round corners on. If it's just something in your scene that you're not using as far as a port or something, you can use that. It's much quicker, I think, to go in here and say insert edge loop here, here, here. Oops, I put 2 in there. So if you insert edge loops going all the way around this, just like that, and then go in here and go mesh smooth, you get sort of the same results, a little tighter, all depends how far away you put the edges. But look at, it yields all quads. Okay, so that's just a different way of doing that. This is my favorite command, so I shouldn't even categorize it in the same context as these other tools, but really this is one of my favorite commands. And that is, if I take some edges and I go two edge ring, then two faces, what I want to do is duplicate faces off the original. Now this is very handy when producing armor. There's no doubt about it. If you got an arm and you want to make like a little subsection of that piece of armor coming off that arm, all you do is highlight the faces and go in here and say duplicate face. Then you must take the blue arrow and pull it out, and it yields a new piece of geometry. Okay? And this new piece of geometry is in very close proximity to the first piece of geometry that you have, making it very useful, just like that. So to produce a ring of polygons around this square by hand, that would be a very arduous task, no doubt. Alright, so that's some of the miscellaneous edit mesh tools in the menu.